In this area, there were bunks that would fold down. There were tables, there were chairs, and seats for the president. This particular airplane had an in-flight telephone, so we know that Eisenhower spent a lot of his time in this section of the airplane. My grandfather was a World War II veteran. He bought 5 of these Lockheed Constellations in a surplus auction, and of the 5 airplanes, this one was in the worst condition. It had a landing gear on it that was incorrect, so it was not able to be flown. The Smithsonian had been doing some research into aircraft that had carried presidential entourages around, and they contacted him and they informed him at that point that this was the first Air Force One. My grandfather decided that he obviously couldn't scrap it, and he spent several years trying to find somebody to work with him on it, try to put it back together and fly it. And Harry Oliver came into the picture.
And he said, "Harry, I've given up." He said, I can't afford to keep her any longer, and nobody seems to be interested in saving her. And he said, "I think I'll run her through the smelter." And I told him, you know, we just can't do that. It's a little bit of our history. President Eisenhower flew to Bermuda to meet with Winston Churchill. And the purpose of the trip was to talk to Churchill about what could be done internationally relative to atomic energy and the atomic bombs and all the nuclear problems. On the return trip from Bermuda, he wrote a speech which he was to deliver in New York upon his arrival. The speech is known as the Atoms for Peace speech.
To hasten the day when fear of the atom will begin to disappear from the minds of people and the governments of the East and West, there are certain steps that can be taken now.
I'm really tickled that somebody else has taken an interest in it and is willing to move on with the project.
My name is Carl Stolzfus. I'm the chairman of Dynamic Aviation in Bridgewater, Virginia. We're inspecting a Lockheed Constellation, and we're evaluating the purchase of the airplane. I read an article about it about 3 or 4 months ago, and it looked like it was just languishing here and nobody was going to do anything with it, and it was eventually going to get scrapped. And it's way, way too much history for it to be scrapped. It really needs to be preserved so that the American public can appreciate and enjoy the airplane in that era of history. We'll need to do a thorough inspection on the engines, need to change quite a few parts and make sure the systems are all good on the airplane. Fortunately, the airplane has been in Arizona for a lot of its life, and it does not have corrosion in, because corrosion would be a big issue.
Owning an airplane like this is expensive, and it's time consuming, and it's a big responsibility. I'd love to see it get to a better place. It's a shame to see it down here in the desert slowly decaying in the sun. It'll be hard to see it go. It'll be a lot of fun to see it fly though.